Let's see what we got here today. Leo full moon. 13 or 12:55. Let's see. Minutes. Alright, the chart here. Let's see how are the signs. What's the register? Alright, let me do something here. I'm an artist. Right? I mean, aren't we all? ignorant fools. I don't know what happened, but that's life. Alright, Leo full moon. Where I am, Vallarta, Mexico. This full moon is happening on the 1303 axis of Aquarius Leo. We're in Aquarius season. Winds of change. Inward to outward rebellion. This is Pluto in Aquarius with all this stuff in Aquarius right now. Mars in a new phase, conjunction with Pluto. It's a rebirth. Carrying the torch, the vestal fire, the purity of the spirit to be burned in resonance with your heart's creation, your relation to yourself, embodied in the fire of your spirit in reality through the forms. Learning the Venus stuff, which is balanced with Mars. So the conscious will to create, the passion, the desire, the urge, the purity of that spirit is fed into the fire of your creation. How pure is what you're doing? Do you have a vision? If not, that's good. You can fall into the creation of your own mythology. You start from the experience of the past and you burn what it is, and what's pure within it is what remains, and that's what you bring forward. That's feeding your spirit. So the square to Uranus here in Taurus, mutual reception between Uranus and Venus. Mercury coming into a square with Uranus, a last quarter square, and Uranus representing the higher reason of the mercurial creation. You're tasked to curate your mythology, to build upon yourself, and you do it by falling into things and ways of being in the world. They entrain you into certain ways of relating to existence, and behaviors develop, and in the static of your creation, something is living. And it's teaching you until it isn't. So awareness rising in what is the purity of your creation, what is the foundation of your wellspring for being, for feeling alive, for willing to live. And how do you make that better? More pure in resonance with the healthy, creative spirit. And pulling in the winds, what do you call those? The waves, the galactic waves. It's basically conception breathing. As we live, we take breaths, in life. Physical body requires oxygen. The mind requires a break as well, like the waves in the ocean. You hang on, then you release. You hang on, you release. And what's pure remains, and you find the stones. And the stones are just a seed. They're not the refined form. You're curating that, cultivating it in awareness through you. And so the mind needs this psychic break from time to time in order to tap into something of a higher energy frequency. Like the ocean, like the sky. Air and water both feed information, spirit, life into form, into matter, into meaning. What do they call it? The parables of life, the symbolics. What's your capacity to consensus narrate your own awareness? Felt presence of your experience out in a spirit. That's Aquarius stepping out of the unity system to create the next creation, to bring that spirit in, the cultivation of human heritage through the spirit, informed, tempered by Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn here. Aquarius, though it may be different than Capricorn, it represents the reason in a new way, an ever-changing way, the future becoming now. So we have Jupiter retrograde, 17 degrees Cancer. I'm at a Cancer rising chart right now. It's in the first house. It's a felt presence in your emotional realms, but it goes deeper than that. You have to swim through the current. When you can't, you go with it. When you can, you do. So it's Zhuangzi and the man in the waterfall. Releasing this entrainment of mind, third house, Virgo with the south node there, overthinking, bringing in whatever you're tuned into in the highest form of perfection. So cultivating the seeds to purpose, not knowing exactly what it is, just doing your best and becoming good, wise, skilled, in whatever way that is for you. Not everyone needs to share their ways. That's why it's good to speak astrology and these ideas of a alchemical meaning. It tunes in or brings you to an awareness of your psyche as elemental expressions of resonance in all of reality. It's not static as your limitations perceive, but it's about digestion, time and field. You know, you don't like going to work in the beginning. Then you make it work because you have to. You do that with everything in existence. All reality is a Stockholm Syndrome type resonance. It's not all tragic. It serves purpose. And eventually you come to higher meanings for yourself. And you don't need to profess it to anyone else. So what speaks to your heart? What makes you feel the will to live? What nourishes your spirit, fueled by an immortal soul of all creation? You can bring that out in these times. We have Venus in a new phase conjunction with the Sun here, just coming out of that conjunction energy, but in opposition to the Moon, coming out of the opposition. So it's a new path, new realization, the up or down swing of a cycle, depending on what energy you're in. You know, we're like seeds. Sometimes you got to grow around stones, things that are older cycle energies that require your attention. The nature, it demands attention. If you stare at it, it becomes you. And we get pulled into things which must necessitate meanings for the past, the cultivation of a presence, and it's a relation to you and others in the experience. So your mind is forged, cast, and we repeat the castings until the casting breaks, so we realize we don't have to kneel. We're ignorant enough. We don't need to give away our only chance to be the fool, to be liberated into your foolish way. We're healing this Chiron thing. It is the key of your higher mind and pure reason. So Saturn, Uranus, Aquarius here. Third decan of Aries, Sagittarius. We got Black Moon Lilith approaching the galactic center at 25 degrees Sagittarius. Coming in and out of the square with Saturn and eventually Neptune, informing us of what is the value of ourself in relation to the past. Uranus coming out, egressing out of the last degrees of Taurus, the Martian degrees, currently transition between Saturn and Mars, so a handoff. What's the father of the reason? What's the fire and the purpose? What's the spirit which ignites? How do you tap into that? That's what you are in this world. It's not status in relation to other people. That comes as secondary result. It's a side effect of becoming something of yourself. And judgments are static castations. They're limitations in an awareness because the person is digesting stuff, and we all go through those phases. But there's a time to live after you've digested enough. You don't need to judge or hold meanings of the past. You move forward with a reason, a purpose, a growing purpose, something you're cultivating. You don't need to know what it is. You just need to know that right now is a good time to do what's right for you. What makes you feel alive, what makes you feel inspired to live. Is it the drama of an external creation, an iteration of a past castigation, a resignation of your spirit to create in order to will to be in a limited game of societal reality? I lived there many years. I was learning the ways, who I am and who I'm not. What I am is what I am. And you become it of your own volition, or it is given to you, served. Sometimes seemingly forced, but you can force yourself as well. You don't have to play the victim alone. You can move through the archetypes. But you have to put in the awareness of your emotional information. You don't need to go to a shrink, just go to the ocean, go to the mountain, go to the woods, go to the river. Feel it. Feel that energy. Be in relation to that. You're seeding consciousness for life, meaning. The old meanings are changing. You're either with that game or you're not. If you're with the game, then you are the Arjun who accepted the divine weapons of reality awareness, being in tune with what that is. And people will energize that energy because we need contrast in reality. These are huge cycle energies people are contributing life force to. We live as the expression or the creation. You can be fatalistic to the limitations of yourself. Then you find new reasons. And you see that those limitations are statics. There's cycles happening. It's not a linear thing. There's more places to jump with awareness. Purity isn't alone in the item or the idea, it's in the whole thing. So it's good to embrace the purity of your own foolish ways, not deny them, but inspire yourself through them. And lead yourself, guide yourself through that language of spirit, and the other people will resonate to give more meaning, more relational freedom for your ways. Now we are embracing the Venusian stuff here because we're finding meanings for life. The awareness is coming into our present sense of feeling. How do we feel in our career, in our relationship, in our city, society, culture, ideas? How do we feel in these ideas? What offering can we burn for pure belief? One which allows the repressions of ourself to be liberated into a more pure fire. The torch, the thing we're carrying across through the spirit, across this void of potential, of the ineffable. The Pisces, what's the wisdom of this cultivation? What could it be? If you can't answer it mentally, you have to answer it in the emotions. How does it feel? You need a variance of experiential language so that you have a more nuanced expression of what that could be. It's good to follow what's most instinctual and natural for you, but if you have a way of being that is not what you've been in relation to and you're trying to figure out what it is, then this is a nuanced, a deeper seed, a large cycle seed, outer planetary energies. And I feel no matter who you are, you're cultivating many seeds through your life. Your creations are psyche, and sometimes you bring them out into the external world, sometimes you don't. You hand them to others, whether your children or your brothers and sisters of spirit, whether creation itself. All right, so limitations of mind. Just remember everything is mind because it's the limit of our conception. Get into the freshness of the feeling, Find your epigenetics. What relational dynamic feeds, nourishes you? That is a commodity worth having in the physical reality of this existence. You're not going to always have the options, but you can find wherever you feel best, wherever you live. Be in relation to the purity of nature. Then come into the purity of relation to the world of mankind. There is a hunger for creation in humanity, in the world of man, and this hunger for creation manifests in all sorts of ways. When we are devoid of our nature, our relation to nature itself, which demands attention, we begin to demand attention for ideas and it becomes a vampiric Wendigo energy, the cannibalization energy. It's Saturn devouring the young. The purity of the reason for being is not to take and destroy. It's to embrace all levels of expression, the good and the bad, and make conscious effort, conscious choices to not repeat stupidity. Trauma loop echoes of the past. The meanings are not the reason. They are steps in a progression where people fall into a static mind to perfect, cultivate reasons for past rhymes. It's why we have conception for angels and demons. It gives many gifts of a hierarchical meaning, or a seed growing through the soil. Make it as complex or simple as you need. That's not the purpose. It's to cultivate yourself in a spirit which liberates you and others through authentic ways. If everyone's authentic, we can't be ruled. There's no need. People would accept their limitations and work on them if they so choose, or they would follow whatever shamanic path set before them. Right, so in closing, Neptune here with Saturn on the MC as I speak. The new changing energy, we're ending the wood snake, heading into the fire horse, and now we find a lot of reasons to spin around in our minds to rhyme. We want to accept, we need to accept, there has to be closure to things. You'll take anything as long as it feeds the need, but once it no longer does, then you will break. You will change. It's good to embrace change of your own volition. You know what's happening, all sorts of things. The world is a vampire. It wants your focused awareness, your attention to feed, to grow. Elections aren't just in politics, it's for your consciousness. It's happening all the time. We've come to this energy of unity through technology, ideas, ways to manage things in a more symphonic, choreographed way, where resources can be manually or automatically, dynamically adjusted on the fly. Resources being our attention, us as humans, animals, land, whatever, ideas. So we are in the tedious phase of cannibalizing ourselves in psyche and in the physical realms. What is pure remains, so find what's pure within you, so that when you are bitten by life, you are not broken. And if you find yourself needing those lessons that hurt, that awareness, it is a holy trial that you are undergoing. So keep in mind you are an immortal being, learning things. Why? Is learning the only thing? I mean, do we ever really learn, or are we remembering what is actually happening? Doesn't matter. There's so much. It's limited by us. So the best we can do is burn pure, and that's in straight conviction of feeling beyond the mind. The mind, the symbols will change as you change. Be in relation to purity beyond a cosmic relation to existence first. Bring that into Taurus and embody that awareness of spectrum. You don't need to live by the convictions and beliefs. Just be open to the change within yourself, and the world is secondary, because whatever arises, you will be in the right frame of being for whatever that is, and you will meet it as pure as you can. And mistakes are learning opportunities. And a lot of times they are happening for things out of your control, out of your reasoning, until you realize it was for something else. You take responsibility for what you can, what you will, and it will change as you change. It does that for everyone, not just you in a vacuum. So whether you do or don't, to be or not to be isn't the question. You will. So be what you will. This is the Aleister Crowley stuff here. You know, at a high level, he's in the purity of reason. And then he comes into his own unique expression, and that's good. We should all do that. He's a good role model for the Aquarian spirit. You don't need to be understood by everyone, and sure, you can fuck around with people. You have to break the psyche of the sheep if they're to try and trample on you. You know, I don't recommend doing harm or bad or any deeds like in negative spirit towards other people, but if you do so in ignorance, there's a reason beyond you happening through you. So embrace the mistakes and don't close yourself. There'll be times when you feel like you have to, but just know that that's you digesting. You come out of that off and on for years. You're cultivating an art in life for a long time, a longevity. It requires an awareness for your psyche, attention, spirit, the highs and the lows. And then you have variance, you understand things, and you have to generate the will and the meaning again, another time. That's what time we're in. So the world will be giving you softballs, asking you to swing on it. You have to realize that that's some entrainment, a trauma loop echo looking for conviction of reason within you, and you have to pull yourself into the purity of meaning for a higher purpose of existence, one of your own creation, at the very least. I love who I love, but the meanings for our creation is more than I can conceive. It's just limited by us. And that's too much la-la land for a lot of people because they're digesting heavy statics. And that's good for them. Because of them, I understand myself. And whatever that is to others is up to them, and that's okay. So just know there's a purity within you. You're casting off the ashes of the past. And you can do so in a more meaningful, playful way of life in relation to this game. And embrace the concept of the alchemical wedding. Make your life your art. And help your ancestors by living your best life. Just help you, and in that spirit you'll help others. And when opportunities arise to embrace the abundance of this reality, then we will. Alright, thanks for watching, listening, and being.